public awareness campaigns to highlight the importance of personal protection, because most people know what needs to be done, but as we grow older, we've been seeing the campaigns not being as rampant as they used to when we were growing up, especially in schools and in the community at large. Do you think that the public awareness campaigns highlight as much as it should, or should we have more of that?
Thank you very much, Brian. We're doing a lot, but we could do better. I think there is a competition for information. There's an information overload, and you work in media, you know this. There's always a new message,
and
coming
sometimes
out.
misinformation.
Misinformation, right? The thing with malaria is, a long time ago, it was almost a national issue, and we were having this conversation at dinner last night. That would you go 2 months without an attack of malaria wherever you came from? Whether you lived in the mountains, or you lived in Nairobi, or you lived at the coast, or on the lake region, Turkana, whatever, people had malaria. It was one of those normal, like a cold, you know, you had to sneeze, you know, in July you sneeze or get a sore throat. But over time, and with efforts of scientists and governments and everybody, we've zeroed down to what we call the malaria endemic zones. And sometimes the targeted campaigns to those zones, like the lake region, the coastal region, and some of those seasonal malaria areas, like, you know, where Mariam comes from.
Where do I come from?
Somewhere where they have long, lovely hair.
Oh.
Kali. Yeah, I'm talking about the northern part of Kenya. And it is easy not to get that message in other parts of the country because the campaign is so targeted. But I think because there's a lot of movement of populations, migrations, you know, with the devolution, people could find themselves working in any part of the country. It is, people could go to school, to college, you know, in any part of the world. Go to Mombasa for your Easter vacation, or what's coming up, Madaraka. Something is coming up.
Maybe December, I don't
My
know.
birthday, but I'm not shouting.
That's a holiday.
It's actually coming.
Yeah.
My
Tomorrow?
birthday is a holiday.
Yeah. So then this information needs to go out uniformly, not just in the endemic zones. So we could do better. We could be more targeted and systematic. I am a malaria survivor. I went to a school that had seasonal malaria, and we were those people that believed we ate mangoes, that's why we had malaria. Or there was a ghost, that's why people were having bad dreams and would scream and everything. But we had treatment from very strong medication. Were 8, 9 years old in those days, went to boarding school very young. And so over the year, many years later, the doctor asked me, why does your liver have scars? Do you love your whiskey? I said, well, maybe not.
Eva, do you love your whiskey?
Let's get to that.
Just tell us. Maybe.
Let's get to that conversation later after we fought malaria. So anyway, we traced back the conversation to malaria infection when we were young. The question is, are these the drugs and the treatments and technologies, are they safe for the body? You know, pharmacovigilance. Is somebody going back to find out if you popped a pill, did you have nightmares? Did your liver swell or whatever it did?
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm a malaria survivor, and my whiskey, let's have that conversation later.
Yeah.
No, but I think it's really important. We don't think about these things of like, not the whiskey, but so much so like the side effects, right?
Yeah.
And how much work has been done to make sure that it's safe for people. Even as you're fighting malaria, you're not also fighting your own body. But I know pregnant women are particularly at risk of malaria.
Yes.
How does it affect, you know, either the unborn child and the mom, and what's being done around malaria in mothers? Yeah, is there a word for it? I'm sure there
Maternal
is.
mortality,
Yeah.
Yes, there is, through the Global Fund where I sit, we have continuous mass net distribution at the antenatal clinics. So you just come in, you're pregnant, no questions, here's your
Just
net.
get your net, yeah.
Goodbye. You come for your child immunization, she's under 5 years of whatever, few months, here's your net. So that the government of Kenya is continuously doing. And then we have what we call the mass nets campaigns that are going to kick off this November. And they're wonderful things, not just as kind of here, but it's a consistent campaign to dole out bed nets. And you asked a very important question. If you're a pregnant woman, what are the risks? When you have malaria, that plasmodium comes from a blood meal from your blood. That same blood is feeding the formation of your baby. It is also maintaining you as a woman. So you really don't need a pest feeding of your blood.
So it's different for pregnant women.
Yes, the risk is higher. And so what can happen if it's not prevented or treated? They could have underweight babies. You could have anemic mother and baby. You could even sometimes have spontaneous abortions. Sometimes you can even lose lives. So those are what we call key vulnerabilities that must be taken care of day and night, whether they live in malaria endemic zones or not. Because the only way you can become a Kenyan is through being born by a Kenyan woman. So we have to protect the entry of humanity into our great nation.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Well, I know I have a lot to ask about some of the prevention measures that we can, just a refresher course.
Yeah.
The same, because we assume we know them, but as soon as we get on the ground, we're still suffering from malaria, and it's still almost top 3 on the number 1 killers when it comes to disease. So I'd like to know what are some of the prevention measures. Keep on listening to #Morning Fix. Right now, we jump back to one of my favorite DJs, undoubtedly DJ Sweetser in the building. Sisiao.